Welcome to the channel Tribe. This episode is part of our webinar series, Tribecast. In this episode, we are having Giridhar Rajkumar talking on the topic, Cucumber Make the Most.
So let's welcome Giridhar. Giridhar Rajkumar, he is a test automation architect at Hexaware. Giridhar has over 12 years of experience in the IT industry. He is an author, speaker, and an instructor. He has trained around 5,000 plus professionals and is passionate about test automation and DevOps. Besides testing, Giridhar likes to do web and Android development, and he's a really passionate about building IP related tools. So he has innovated a lot of IP tools as well. So I welcome Giridhar. We all are excited for this webinar on Cucumber. So the stage is yours, Giridhar.
So once again, thanks everyone. So good morning and good evening, everyone. So thank you so much for joining on this wonderful weekend, and I hope everyone is staying safe and your family is also doing very much safe. So like Gio said, I'm a test automation architect. I've been working with the software testing industry for over 12 years now. And I live in a place called Norwich, which is in the east of England. I writing lots of articles, and I have published a couple of handbooks on test automation. So being a test automation architect or consultant is one of the privilege that I have, where I have an opportunity to explore lots of tools and frameworks that are available in the market, and gain that knowledge and write it as an article in my blogs. So if you really want to know about my blog, please do visit giridharrajkumar.com, where I have lots of articles that I have written with Cucumber, Selenium, Cypress, WebDriver, IO, so on and so forth. And like always, like this session, I speak in several meetups, webinars, and conferences as well on different test automation topics, and share my personal experiences with those tools and frameworks. What are all the advantages that I have got? What are all the challenges that I have faced with that particular tool, so that the entire community can get benefit and they can just start, using that particular tool or framework actually. So apart from this, like a hobby, I like cycling, and most recently I started running. Just to take care of my fitness. So it's really good to have more time to do my exercise activities every day. So if you really want to get connected with me, you can connect me with my LinkedIn. My name is Giridhar Rajkumar over there. You can just search for it and you can connect with me. And if you really like to know what are all the codings that I have done till now, or any other pet projects that I have done till now, you can feel free to browse Giridhar, my GitHub URL /GRAJ88, where you will be able to see all the repositories. And of course, if you really want to follow me in Twitter, it's VGRK2017. So you can just follow me over there as well, where I'll be posting new articles and any upcoming meetups or conferences that I'm just going to talk as well. So that's it about me. So let's get into today's agenda. So it's going to be simple. So probably for next 45 minutes or, roughly 35 minutes to 40 minutes, this is what we are going to see. First thing first, we are going to talk more from the Cucumber perspective. So basically, I've been working with Cucumber for more than 6-7 years now, and I have experienced different versions of Cucumber, and with the latest version as well, which is version 6, which is having very excellent features that I will be showing it during the demo. So basically, this session is all about my personal experience with Cucumber, where it starts from the basics and goes to the advanced level. So if you're new to Cucumber, you will be able to get some information from this session. And if you are an advanced tester, and if you have worked with Cucumber already, you will also get to know a couple of features that are there as part of Cucumber V6, which you can get major benefit out of it. And then we are going to talk a little bit about gherkins, which I'm personally interested in because that's the base foundation for Cucumber is what I strongly believe. And we are going to see a couple of best practices in which we can write gherkins as well. Like I said earlier, we are going to talk a little bit about the Cucumber JVM version 6 features, and we are going to see live demo on those features on how we can automate using those newly implemented keywords and features. And we will just quickly recap at the end on what is it we have seen for past 30 to 40 minutes, and then we will just open up for questions for the past 15 minutes. So this is going to be the agenda, and if you think I'm going a bit faster, please do let me know. I can just slow down so that I can just make sure that everyone are able to get what Cucumber is all about. Yeah. Cool. All right. Okay. So Cucumber courses. So let's say, for example, like being a test automation consultant, I've been working with multiple organizations, right, where I go assess their automation strategy and help them out in implementing, test automation, especially when it comes to the agile-based organizations. They really wanted to go with behavior-driven development, right? So which I'll be covering in the next slide. But again, the problem what they have is like they don't have enough knowledge on how they have to implement behavior-driven development or test automation or Cucumber itself, right? So for those kind of people, I would really suggest folks to go through the Test Automation University, where it has an excellent tutorials, and you can just go through the learning paths that are available, which will guide you through knowing what is Selenium, Java, and of course the Cucumber with Java as well. So I have contributed to the Test Automation University with my course Cucumber with Java. So it has the basics of Cucumber on how you can use along with Java, and feel free, and it is free course. You can just register and make use of it. And if you are a JavaScript person, and if you want to know more from JavaScript perspective, so Gavin Samuels has taken a course on Cucumber with JavaScript as well, which you can just browse and get benefit out of it. And like I said earlier, I have written lots of Cucumber based articles in my blog, and feel free to visit this as well. So you will be able to get more insight about Cucumber on how we can use it with different methodologies as well. So having said this, let's get into Cucumber, right? So before we get into Cucumber, one thing we need to understand is behavior-driven development, actually. I'm very sure by this time you will be knowing what exactly behavior-driven development is. But again, I just wanted to insist a couple of things that in the industry, especially in the software development industry, the behavior-driven development is a terminology that is misled, actually. So when I say misled, it means that we need to consider behavior-driven development as a software development methodology, right? It's not something like it is related to testing. So many people across different organizations are still thinking that if I write my test cases in given when and then, it means that my project is having behavior-driven development implemented. Unfortunately, that's not the case, right? So BDD is nothing but it's a collaborative way between the developers, QA, and non-technical stakeholders like the business analysts or the product owners, who sit together and collaborate each other with coming up with the acceptance criteria, which is nothing but the requirements, right? So that methodology is called as behavior-driven development, and not writing the test cases in given when and then and automating it is not behavior-driven development, guys. Because this is something that I really need to insist here, because many people are still thinking BDD is test automation, but unfortunately it is not, right? So having said this, let's talk about Cucumber, right? So what is this particular Cucumber is all about? I'm sure that many people who have already used Cucumber will be knowing this, but people who are enthusiastic or planning to use this Cucumber down the line. So Cucumber is a tool that can be used to achieve the behavior-driven development. So basically, it is a framework that has the keywords that are there in gherkins, like given when and then, which are used to write the acceptance criteria to be automated, actually. So basically, automating the acceptance criteria can be done using this particular tool called Cucumber. So eventually the acceptance criteria, when it is automated for test cases, it becomes the acceptance tests for us actually. So in this session, there might be some new terminologies that you might be knowing. So basically, this is something like, getting to know a couple of keywords that are there as part of Cucumber and in the test automation as well when it comes to BDD, which you can make use of it in the future actually, or in your current project. So basically, acceptance tests are nothing but the acceptance criteria that you're trying to automate here, right? So it can be for any web application or it can be for desktop application as well. But to be very honest with you, with my personal experience, I wouldn't use Cucumber for automating API tests. Rather, I will be using Rest Assured to do that particular part, because I somewhat feel that API tests are not user centric. Rather, it is completely business logic centric, which doesn't involve any customer. So basically, like behavior driven development is all about the end users. So we need to think everything from the end users and come up with the acceptance criteria. So we will talk about these, in the upcoming slides, where you will be learning what is the best way of writing your gherkins and what is the wrong way of writing the gherkins, where you can just make use of the gherkin scenarios in your Cucumber framework altogether. And let's talk about the flavors of Cucumber. So when I say flavors of Cucumber, the different types of Cucumbers that are available, right? I think most of us know what exactly Cucumber Open is. Cucumber Open is nothing but the open source framework that is available to be utilized along with our Selenium framework. It has, the Cucumber Open is available in different set of languages like Ruby, Java, JavaScript, and we have with Python and everything. Python, it is Behave actually. So there are lots of combinations of Cucumber itself for different technologies that are out there in the market. And next one is the Cucumber Studio, which is a proprietary tool of SmartBear, which is a commercialized version where you can have everything in one place. We will just quickly see about the Cucumber Studio as well in the next slide, where you will be able to get an insight about what exactly is there in the Cucumber Studio, and check if you are able to check if you really want that, and you can just make use of it as well. And the next one is the Cucumber for Jira and X-Ray, which is available as a plugin for Jira as well, where you can just start writing your Gherkin syntax, acceptance criteria in the user story, or you can just start writing it as a separate test case itself using X-Ray plugin. And then you can integrate it with your automation and update the test results back to Jira directly, where you can have a single source of truth, which is nothing but a dashboard in which you can just see all the test cases executed. So these are, a couple of common flavors of Cucumber that are available in the market, which you should be aware of. And then talking about the Cucumber Studio, it is something like it is cloud-based basically, or it can be on-prem based setup as well. So Cucumber Studio is nothing but a combination of everything in one place actually. So you can consider Cucumber Studio as a Gherkin editor, or it has all the test management tools in it, and it has lots of historical data that you need to analyze. So say for example, like once the automated execution is done, the test results will be saved in the Cucumber Studio as well. You can execute the test cases in manual fashion as well and update the test cases, which gives a beautiful historical data, which eventually be useful for you to understand whether that particular user stories test cases has been executed or not, or what are the failures that are related to that particular user story. And then, like I said earlier, it's a single source of truth where you can just have everything in one place, where you can just go and check your test cases, test plan, or not the test plan, your test cases, the stories, and anything that is related to the test management over there. And ultimately, we need to consider one thing in Cucumber is the living documentation, folks. So I'm a huge fan of living documentation here, because I have personally experienced the benefit out of what we will be getting as part of the living documentation here. So I still vividly remember a couple of years back, I was working for a customer where we worked for a digital project, and we had probably like 10 sprints. And for every sprint, we used to have almost like 10 to 15 stories. Actually, it's a huge team where we have different set of user stories that has to be developed and automated as well. So the problem what we faced was like everything was in Jira, which is absolutely great, which we can just definitely go and verify. But again, we wanted one place which becomes a Bible for the entire digital program, where we just wanted to go through that and see what are all the features that are there as part of the application and what has been automated as well, right? So that's the place where the living documentation comes into place, where we started utilizing it from the sprint 1 itself and started getting the benefit out of living documentation after sprint 10. That these are the set of test cases that has been automated and developed as well, actually, right? So that's the level of maturity we need to go by utilizing Cucumber's features. This particular living documentation is not restricted only to Cucumber, but again there is something called as pickles, which I personally prefer to do all the living documentation. So you can just feel free to go browse for pickles living documentation, which will help you in coming up with a beautiful HTML report. Sorry, beautiful HTML report where you will be having all the scenarios automated over there, actually automated and developed over there. So that's about Cucumber Studio. I don't want to get in depth about Cucumber Studio because this is completely. I want to focus mostly from the Cucumber open source perspective, where you will be able to get most benefit out of it. So I really like this particular meme from I just took it from one of the posts from John Ferguson Smart, which says, "Let's say Cucumber test script one more time, I die you." So basically, what we need to understand is Cucumber is not testing, guys, right? So Cucumber, it's a tool to do the testing, that's it. But we cannot say that it's Cucumber test script, actually, right? So many people will call this as BDD scripts. Many people will call it as Cucumber test scripts, but unfortunately it is not, right? So basically we are trying to automate the acceptance criteria, which is nothing but the requirements, right? So that's where the level of maturity comes into picture from the behavior driven development perspective. So I wouldn't personally call Cucumber Cucumber test scripts, because it's something like it's really not the case, right? So it's misleading us from the Cucumber perspective, right? So never call Cucumber tests as Cucumber test scripts. Rather call it as scenarios, Cucumber scenarios, or Cucumber features, but not Cucumber test scripts at all, folks. Yeah, if someone is saying that it's Cucumber test script, please make them understand that it's not Cucumber test script. Yeah. All right, so what is the main benefit that I'm going to get from this Cucumber? So basically speaking, like I said earlier, it's completely into behavior-driven development. So it bridges the gap between the technical and non-technical folks, actually. So basically, using the power of Gherkin, we will be able to write the acceptance criteria in given, when, and then format, which is quite simple, and it is autonomous as well. So I have written an article on how to write the gherkins, which I will be sharing it after this particular call, or you can just feel free to browse my blog as well, where I have given clearly on how to write gherkins more effectively as well. And the other thing what we need to understand is once we write our acceptance criteria more autonomously, it is easily understandable for acceptance tests. So basically, you're writing your tests as atomic tests, actually, right? So atomic tests are nothing but a chunk of your requirements or chunk of your particular module that you're trying to develop, right? So that becomes your user story as well when it comes to behavior-driven development. So it's easy for us to automate as well using Cucumber, which eventually Cucumber and Selenium based, Cucumber Selenium, or you can just use Cucumber Cypress or any tool that you want. It has that features, and you can just make use of that. But in this demo, we are going to use Cucumber with Selenium, which you will be mostly aware of. But again, if you're not aware of, please go through my Cucumber with Java course, and then you will be able to understand this. And then what major benefit that we'll be getting is the Gherkin formatted acceptance criteria, which I already covered as part of the given, when, and then, and of course the living documentation as well down the line, right? All these benefits, what I'm talking about here, are the ones that I have personally experienced, and I really wanted to share with you folks, where you can just take a Cucumber to a maturity level where you can get benefit exactly on how I got, actually, right? So that's the main aim for this particular session. And then let's talk about gherkins. I really get excited when I start talking about gherkins, folks. So basically speaking, I've seen many organizations and I've seen many people writing given, the gherkins. But I would say that 70 out of 100% are writing gherkin scenarios in a, I wouldn't say in a wrong way, but they are writing it, but again, not in the right way, actually, right? So basically speaking, there are lots of annotations that are available as part of gherkins, and we must know how to use that as well, right? So we all know that gherkins have multiple annotations like given, when, and given, when, then, and but. But occasionally we use but again, the rest four things like given, when, then, and we use predominantly in any of our Cucumber scenarios. But again, what we need to do is like we need to think from one perspective: who should write this actually? Right. So basically, there is always a cold war between the business and business testers and developers on who should write given, when, and then actually, right? So with my experience, what I have seen is like personally, I prefer the business who are nothing but the business analysts or the product owners to start writing the given, when, and then. Immediately after the Three Amigos session, that's because that's when that's when the acceptance criteria are derived, and it's a role of the business analysts to write the given, when, and then as part of their requirements itself, right? So that given, when, and then, or that particular scenario will become the requirement for the developer as well as the tester for automating it. So I personally prefer the business analysts to write the given, when, and then, when I say given, when, and then, it's the scenarios or the acceptance criteria, and then the developers and testers should be able to take it and write and develop the application and write the automation test cases for that actually. And one thing what we need to consider is we need to consider it always from the user perspective, like I said earlier, and that's the reason why I don't prefer Cucumber for writing API tests, because API tests are not user centric; it's completely business logic centric. Of course, there are tools like Karate and other Karate, which Karate and Rest Assured that uses given, when, and then, but it's not from the business perspective, right? So next thing what we are going to see about is the golden rules for gherkins actually. So one thing what we need to understand is, I have seen many people writing scenarios for almost like 20 steps, 30 steps, and of course for 100 steps as well, like and I click, and I click, and I click, and I click, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, guys, like I said earlier, our scenarios should be autonomic. And it should be it should be something like atomic tests as well. So it should be a small chunk of your requirements should be your scenario. So it should maximum have one given, one when, and one then steps. And at the maximum, you should be having 2 and steps, which means your scenario should not exceed more than 5 steps, right? That is because you will be able to, that you will be able to understand that particular scenario within those 5 steps itself, right? I totally agree that from the reusability perspective, if I write like and I click this button and I click this button, it will be useful for me, Giri. But unfortunately, no, guys, please don't use it. Rather, start adopting the design patterns of page object model and other design patterns that are available, which eventually helps you in reusability factor. But please don't consider Cucumber or Gherkins to think from the reusability factor for your UI based test steps, right? Please don't do that. So these are the golden rules that you really need to follow in order to write an effective Gherkins actually, right? Gherkin scenarios. And let's take a quick example on what is the best one. Okay, so this is how the Gherkin feature file should be looking. So basically, you have the feature title, and you should have the feature injection as well, and of course the scenario title. And you must be having the scenario within 5 lines, which I have given it over here. I have added but as well, but again, it is optional. So this is how it should be looking. So any feature file that you're writing should be looking exactly like this one, right? And you can have multiple consequent scenarios as well as part of this particular feature, right? And let me just give you a best example of this one. So I've seen many people writing in this way actually. So given the user navigates to the URL, when the user fills in the test for the locator ID, likewise, the button ID and so on and so forth. So please don't do this, guys, because see, the thing is like, if you have 1 or 2 scenarios, it's okay to write in this way, but think and see, but in a practical way, we will be having hundreds of scenarios down the line, right? After 10 sprints, we'll be having probably like 500 test cases to be automated, or automated test cases that has to be executed. But again, if you have all these, if you have this particular scenario in all your 500 scenarios, you cannot go and change every locator here, right? So for every you cannot change locator for every scenario, right? That's quite impossible, right? So that's where please start thinking from the reusability perspective, from the page object model perspective. So in order to write this one in the better way from the Cucumber perspective or from the Gherkins perspective is this one actually. Given test user navigates to page landing page, when the user logs in, then the page should be displayed in logged in state actually. So this is one of the best way, but again, you can think from different perspective. You can write it in your own way, but please try not to write it from the technical perspective actually, because like I said earlier, it's going to become the living documentation for technical people and non-technical people as well. So when I say non-technical people, those people are the business analysts or the product owners, or down the line it can be any of the manual testers as well, right? So for them it will be complicated it will be complicated to read all these kind of test steps if you're writing it. So if you're writing it in the business way, they will be able to understand more logically that what has been implemented. So this is something that you really need to understand as well. So what are a couple of misunderstandings that are there? After this slide, we will definitely get into the Cucumber V6 features and we'll get into the demo directly. And from talking about the misunderstandings perspective, like I said earlier, many people are still insisting that testers should be writing the given when and thens. But unfortunately, no, as I said earlier. So please correct people that no, guys, testers are not supposed to write GWTs. Only the business are supposed to write the GWTs. And many people are thinking that it's BDD means it's business driven development, and no, it's behavior driven development. And of course, like I said earlier, Gherkins are not your test steps. I'm insisting these things again and again because these are the ones that I've seen with different customers, and this is something that I wanted to insist through this session so that you guys will know exactly know what exactly Cucumber is, and then start implementing it from the first day one itself. And like I said earlier, BDD is definitely not test automation as well. Now let's talk about the Cucumber JVM version 6 actually. So of course, there are different flavors of Cucumber, like I said earlier, like Cucumber Ruby, Cucumber JVM, Cucumber Cucumber for C# as SpecFlow. We have Behave for Python, so on and so forth, right? But again, from the Cucumber's perspective, which is currently being supported by Smart Bear, Cucumber JVM version 6 has been recently launched. Probably, I think I'm not sure about when it has been launched, but these are the new features that are available as part of V6. And I have written an article as well, which I'll be sharing it with you after this call, where you can just get benefit out of it. So these are a couple of new keywords that has been added up to the Cucumber JVM. Of course, these new keywords are not new to Cucumber because it has already been implemented in Ruby, but it has come recently to JVM, where you can just make benefit out of all these keywords as well. So basically, the keywords are rules, ability, scenarios. You must have used a scenario, but it is now called as scenarios as well. So there is something called as scenario template, and there is something called as business need, right? Basically speaking, all these keywords will be very useful during your Three Amigos session when you are trying to derive the acceptance criteria, right? So, so all these keywords will be, like I said earlier, since Cucumber is a collaborative tool, these keywords will be mostly useful for the business analysts or the product owners who are deriving the requirements actually. But the thing is, like, once it has been implemented for the requirements, earlier Cucumber JVM was not having those features, but now it has the features to be automated as well. So if your business is going to start using the keywords like rules, ability, scenarios, etc., you have that feature to automate it now as well. But What are these features, Giri, and what are the how can I relate it with actually? So currently speaking, the high level requirements, right? What we call it as features, the feature, right? So it can be added like ability or business need as well. And from the scenario perspective, we have a scenario outline, and now we have scenario template. And from the combinations or parameters perspective, if you remember, we have examples under scenario outline, right? For people who have already used Cucumber. Now you can make use of scenarios which has the capability of giving different combinations as well. You must be wondering, Giri, what is the benefit out of it? Definitely you will be able to see when I'm just showing the demo in next 1 minute, where you will be able to see the usage of rules, ability, scenario template, and business need as well, which replaces the feature, scenario, and scenario outline, right? Apart from this, one of the coolest feature that I really like with Cucumber JVM is the online reporting. So currently we have Cucumber reporting that we can generate it directly from Maven, but again, Cucumber is giving us an online reporting feature as well. So if you think that you need to make use of online reporting, you can make use of this, which definitely we are going to see it in the demo now. All right, enough of slides and let's get into demo. So these are the, this is a sample project that I have created where you will be able to see different features. So basically what you see currently, the regular way of writing our Cucumber scenarios, right? So it has the feature, it has the feature injection, and it has a scenario, and it has a scenario outline, and the examples that are related to this. Right. So basically speaking, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of Zero Web Security web application from Micro Focus. It is a banking application. And then I have written a couple of scenarios for purchasing foreign currency actually. So the foreign currency will be like Australian dollar or Canadian dollar or British pounds as well. So it just gives us the equivalent amount of USD, right? So basically this is the way that we will be writing, correct? Now, we can also write this particular scenario with the new keywords that are available using in this particular way actually. So of course the feature remains the same, and you can just give a quick context of what is that particular feature is all about, or what is that particular module is all about, and you can write a rule. So basically rule is nothing but it is something like you're telling that this is how it should be actually. Right. So you can just set the rule at the beginning, and you can start writing different scenarios as examples actually. So you're setting up a rule and you're giving an example. Right. So think about this during your Three Amigos session. These are the ones that will be really considered, right, by the business analysts, right? Saying that, okay, in order to develop this one, this is the rule I have, and I can give a sample example like this. Right. So these are the ones that you will be noting down in your story card, and that is how it is getting involved as part of your feature file. Right. And then this is how we will be writing this particular rule keyword and the example keyword. And talking about the ability, ability is nothing but the replacement of feature is what I said earlier. So you can just create something like ability in this particular feature file. And then you can start writing the scenario template itself like this. So basically speaking, many people prefer writing the scenarios as scenario template, and then tell that scenario template that these are the scenarios that I wanted to test my application or develop my application actually. So these are different terminologies from the business perspective that we should be aware of. And these are a couple of new features that has been added as part of Cucumber version 6 as well. Now, apart from this, there is the feature of online reporting that I was talking about, isn't it? So basically speaking, all you need to do is you need to create a file called Cucumber properties under your resources, and you need to add this particular line called cucumber.publish.enabled is equal to true, which enables your test results directly in a directly to your online, directly in a website basically. So we will see how it works actually, but again it publishes online for you. It's not an offline report, it's an online report for you. Now let's do one thing. Let's try to execute all these three scenarios. Probably it will take 1 or 2 minutes, and then we will try to see how the Cucumber reports are getting generated, and then we will see it online as well on how it will be displayed for us, right? So just for the time being, I'm going to execute only one scenario, which is nothing but the ability demo, which has a scenario template and scenarios in it, right? So let's execute it. So this is the banking application that I was talking about, folks. You can make use of this one to practice your test automation, which is absolutely great, actually. So the third test case is getting executed now. And yes, so all these test cases are done now, right? So where can you view your online Cucumber report? So the Cucumber will be giving you a URL in your console, actually. All you need to do is copy this URL and then go to your browser, and then you can just paste it directly over there, actually. So let me just paste it for you now. And this is the online reporting that Cucumber offers us, and this is the execution that happened recently, actually. Right. So basically speaking, this particular report, if you're not logging in with your GitHub credentials, it will auto delete within 24 hours. But if you think that this report has to be there as part of your historical collection, you can then log in with your GitHub credentials, and you can just create a collection called as, whatever you want. I've created a collection called demo, and it contains all the test execution reports that I executed for past 14 hours, actually. So basically speaking, it is a historical data where you will be able to see all your test reports. But keep in mind, this is not Cucumber Studio. Right, this is not Cucumber Studio at all. It is a reporting feature that Cucumber gives us, an online Cucumber reporting feature, right? And then now what we can see is we can just get into the test scenarios, and you can just view everything in one place, and what version of Cucumber you are using, and what kind of environment where you are executing it as well, because this will be mostly useful for you if you have the feature of executing your test cases in I would say that in a different browsers. So this will be very useful for you, actually, right? So and then and this is what I wanted to show you as part of the demo. And then let's quickly recap and let's see. We just saw what is Cucumber and what are the different flavors of Cucumber that are available. And we have seen what is Gherkin and how we can write the Gherkins and what are the best practices. And we have seen the golden rules for writing the Gherkins as well. And we have seen what is Cucumber JVM, what are the new features that are available as part of Cucumber JVM version 6. And we have seen a demo on the features as well. So having said this, thank you so much for your time, and I'm open for any questions now.